It's story time.
I've always been drawn to the untamed beauty of the great outdoors. There's something inherently peaceful about the rustling of leaves, the symphony of birdsong, and the scent of earth and moss. It was this enduring love for nature that led me to embark on a solo hiking adventure deep into the heart of the remote wildwood forest. Armed with a sturdy backpack filled with essentials, a map, and a compass, I ventured into the forest on a crisp, sun-dappled morning. The trailhead was marked by the promise of adventure, and I eagerly embraced the solitude that the wilderness offered. As I traversed the well-worn path, the forest enveloped me in its tranquil embrace. The towering trees formed a natural cathedral, their branches arching overhead to create a lush canopy. Rays of sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dancing patterns of light and shadow on the ground beneath. The hours slipped by unnoticed as I lost myself in the beauty of the woods. The melodious chorus of birds serenaded my journey, and the scent of pine and wildflowers filled the air. With each step, I ventured further from civilization and closer to the heart of the wilderness. However, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I realized that I had ventured deeper into the forest than I had intended. The path had grown faint, and the trail markers had become scarce. Panic clawed at the edges of my mind as I acknowledged that I was lost. With the encroaching darkness, I had no choice but to make camp. I found a sheltered spot beneath a towering oak tree, the gnarled roots providing a comfortable seat. A small campfire crackled to life, casting a warm, flickering glow around me. Sitting cross-legged by the fire, I tried to calm my racing heart. The forest at night had a different character, a quiet intensity that seemed to magnify every rustling leaf and hooting owl. I knew I needed rest, but my senses remained on high alert. As I settled into my sleeping bag, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It was a subtle sensation, a prickling at the back of my neck, but it refused to be ignored. The rustling of leaves and the distant hooting of owls only added to my unease. Sometime in the dead of night, I was jolted awake by a sound that froze the blood in my veins, a low, guttural growl that sent shivers coursing through my body. My heart pounded in my chest as I strained to identify the source of the ominous noise. I sat up slowly, my heart hammering in my chest, and peered into the inky darkness beyond the campfire's feeble light. My eyes widened as I beheld a sight that defied all logic and reason, a creature unlike anything I had ever seen. The moonlight revealed a monstrous form, a grotesque hybrid of man and beast. It stood about 100 feet from my campsite, lurking in the shadows. Its skin was grotesquely absent, revealing raw, pulsating muscle beneath. Its back was hunched, and its limbs were unnaturally long, ending in bony, clawed appendages. Its head was disproportionately large, with a mouth that stretched wide, filled with jagged teeth. I can see that the creature was devouring a small deer. The sound of its teeth crunching onto the bones of the deer made the hair on my arms stand up. The way the creature slurps on the blood gives me the shiver as I cover my mouth and be as quiet as I can. Terror gripped me, rendering me immobile. My eyes remained locked on the nightmarish creature as it crouched by something on the ground, a prey couldn't yet see. It tore into its gruesome meal with a horrifying ease, blood oozing from its grisly feast. I was paralyzed, unable to look away from the gruesome scene that played out before me. The forest held its breath, as if nature itself had paused to bear witness to the nightmarish spectacle. Minutes stretched into hours, and I remained trapped in my waking nightmare. The creature devoured its prey with an insatiable hunger, its grotesque visage etched into my mind, a skinless, sinewy form with contorted limbs and a nightmarish maw. As the first faint light of dawn began to pierce the darkness, the impossible occurred. The creature simply vanished, as if it had never been there. It faded into the shadows, leaving behind only the remnants of its gruesome meal. With the creature's disappearance, the spell that had bound me finally broke. Panic and confusion coursed through me, but I knew that I had to escape the haunted woods to find my way back to civilization. I gathered my belongings in trembling hands, retracing my steps to the best of my ability. Every rustling leaf, every snapping twig sent shivers down my spine, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. When I stumbled upon a recognizable trail, relief washed over me. I followed it with renewed determination, my exhaustion driving me forward. As I emerged from the woods and back into the daylight, I felt profound gratitude for my survival. The forest held secrets, dark and unfathomable, and I had been an unwilling witness to their malevolent presence. The creature I had encountered would forever remain an enigma, a haunting specter in the depths of my memory. I reached my car, my body and mind battered by the harrowing experience. I drove away from the woods, vowing never to return to that cursed place, to leave behind the horrors that lurked in the heart of the wilderness. The creature I had seen would forever haunt my dreams, a testament to the inexplicable mysteries that dwell in the uncharted corners of the natural world. I had ventured into the forest seeking adventure, but I had found something far darker, a secret that would continue to haunt me, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are never meant to be solved. I had always been drawn to the enchanting beauty of the Great Smoky Mountains, their rugged peaks and lush valleys serving as a siren's call to my adventurous spirit. On a crisp autumn morning, I joined a group of seasoned hikers, eager to explore a trail we had heard held a secret beauty known only to those who ventured deep into its heart. Our journey began under a clear blue sky, the sun casting dappled shadows through the dense canopy of ancient trees. The forest floor was blanketed in a carpet of fallen leaves, a mosaic of red, gold, and amber hues. The air was crisp and filled with the invigorating scent of pine. The trail was well marked, and we made swift progress, our excitement growing with each step. We crossed babbling streams and marveled at the tranquil beauty of the forest. The hours slipped by unnoticed, and it wasn't until the sun began its descent that we realized we had ventured farther than we had intended. It was a unanimous decision to press on, fueled by a desire to reach a particularly scenic vista rumored to be just beyond the trail's end. We consulted our maps, assured that we could make it there before dark. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the forest around us transformed. The serene day gave way to a cacophony of sounds, the chirping of crickets, the hoots of owls, and the rustling of unseen creatures in the underbrush. The deepening shadows created an eerie atmosphere, but our spirits remained high. Hours passed, and the forest seemed to close in around us. The trail markers grew fainter, and we became acutely aware that we were veering deeper into the wilderness. Despite our growing unease, we pressed on, drawn by the allure of the elusive vista. Then, as if on cue, darkness enveloped us. The forest was a different world at night, its beauty tinged with an undeniable sense of mystery. We pulled out our flashlights and lanterns, their beams cutting through the inky blackness. The trail markers had all but disappeared, and our progress became slow and cautious. It was then that we first heard a faint, otherworldly whisper that seemed to emanate from the very trees themselves. We stopped in our tracks, exchanging nervous glances. The whispering grew louder, an ethereal chorus of voices that sent shivers down our spines. With a collective sense of dread, we pressed forward, determined to find our way back to civilization. But the forest seemed to conspire against us, the trail twisting and turning in ways we couldn't anticipate. It was as if the very landscape had shifted during the night. Then, as we rounded a bend, we saw them pale, ghostly figures that floated just ahead of us. They moved in eerie silence, their spectral forms swaying in the dim light of our lanterns. Our hearts pounded, and we struggled to comprehend the bizarre sight before us. The figures were translucent, their forms resembling humans, but with an otherworldly quality. Their eyes, if they had any, were hollow and devoid of life. We watched in terror as they crossed our path, their presence sending a chill through our very souls. A sense of foreboding washed over us, and it was clear that these apparitions were not of this world. We dared not make a sound, fearing that any sudden movement might provoke a malevolent response. As the ghostly figures passed, I couldn't help but notice that they paid us no heed. It was as if we were invisible to them, significant travelers in their ethereal realm. Our group remained frozen in place until the last of them had vanished into the darkness. It took several minutes for us to regain our composure, and in that time, the forest seemed to sigh in relief, its eerie whispering subsiding. We decided that our quest for the elusive vista had led us too far into the unknown, and it was time to retrace our steps and find our way back to the safety of civilization. With our lanterns held high, we followed the faint traces of the trail, the forest around us, cloaked in an oppressive silence. The presence of the ghostly figures continued to haunt our thoughts, their enigmatic nature leaving us with more questions than answers. It felt like an eternity, but eventually, we emerged from the forest, our relief palpable as we stepped back into the familiar world of moonlight and starlit skies. We had escaped the clutches of the haunted trail, but the memory of that eerie encounter would stay with us forever. Or were they something more ancient and enigmatic, a testament to the mysteries that dwelled in the heart of the Great Smoky Mountains? One thing was certain: we had ventured into the unknown that night, and had come face to face with something beyond our understanding. The haunted trail had given us an experience that defied explanation, a chilling reminder that the wilderness held secrets that even the most intrepid explorers could. The wilderness had always been my sanctuary, a place where I could escape the noise of the world and find solace in the embrace of nature. On that fateful day, I ventured into the heart of the vast, untouched forest, where the allure of the unknown beckoned me deeper into its depths. The trail was uncharted territory for me, an unmarked path that seemed to lead to an untouched part of the forest. The towering trees formed a majestic canopy above, their branches reaching out to obscure the sky. Rays of sunlight streamed through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. As I walked, the rustling of leaves beneath my boots and the symphony of birdsong provided the soundtrack to my journey. Time lost meaning as I immersed myself in the tranquil beauty of the woods, and it wasn't until the sun began its descent that I realized I had ventured deeper than I had intended. Dusk settled in quickly, and the forest transformed into a realm of shadows and hidden sounds. With each step, the trail grew dimmer, and I felt the weight of the wilderness pressing in around me. Panic clawed at the edges of my mind, but I pushed on, determined to reach a clearing that I hoped would serve as a makeshift campsite. Hours passed, and the inky blackness of night closed in around me. My flashlight cast eerie, shifting shapes on the trees as I searched for a suitable place to set up camp. Finally, I stumbled upon a small clearing, and in the faint glow of my flashlight, I saw something that gave me shock. A campsite lay before me, a tattered tent, standing like a sentinel in the darkness. Its weathered appearance told a story of abandonment, as if it had been left here for years. My heart raced as I considered the possibility of an unknown presence in the woods. Curiosity warred with caution, but ultimately, curiosity won. I decided to investigate, my cautious steps leading me closer to the mysterious campsite. The tent flap was partially open, and the dim light of my flashlight revealed the interior, a jumble of discarded belongings, tattered blankets, and worn clothing. And then, I saw her, a young girl, no older than 12, sitting huddled in a corner of the tent. Her eyes met mine, wide with fear and uncertainty. It was a sight that sent a jolt of adrenaline through my veins. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice trembling. She didn't respond with words, but her eyes pleaded for help. It was all the confirmation I needed. Without hesitation, I reached out and gently lifted her out of the tent. She was frail and trembling, her clothing threadbare and dirt-streaked. My heart ached at the thought of what she had endured in the wilderness. I wrapped her in a warm blanket from my backpack and asked if she needed food or water. She shook her head, her lips trembling. It was clear that she had been through a traumatic ordeal. With the young girl in my arms, I retraced my steps, determined to find my way back to the safety of the trailhead. The forest seemed to close in around us, its shadows concealing the horrors that lay hidden within its depths. Eventually, the faint glow of my flashlight illuminated the familiar path, and we emerged from the forest into the moonlit night. I had rescued the girl from the enigmatic campsite, but the mystery of her presence weighed heavily on my mind. We reached the parking lot and I immediately called the authorities. They arrived promptly and took charge of the young girl, wrapping her in a warm blanket and assuring her that she was safe. Now, it was a bittersweet moment, knowing that she was no longer alone in the wilderness, but the questions surrounding her ordeal remained unanswered. Days later, the news broke. A man had been apprehended, and the young girl had identified him as her kidnapper. He had been living in the forest, using the campsite as a makeshift hideout. His capture sent shockwaves through the community, a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurked in the wild. As the young girl's story unfolded, it became clear that she had endured unspeakable horrors during her captivity. She had been kidnapped and taken into the wilderness, where she had lived in fear for months. Her resilience and survival instincts had ultimately led to her rescue. I couldn't help but marvel at the twist of fate that had brought me to that enigmatic campsite, and the decision to investigate had led to the young girl's salvation. It was a reminder of the profound impact that a single choice could have on the course of a life. In the end, the young girl's kidnapper was convicted and sentenced to a lengthy prison term, ensuring that he could never harm another soul. As for the girl, she began the long journey of healing and recovery, surrounded by a community that rallied around her with unwavering support. The enigmatic campsite in the heart of the wilderness had held a dark secret, one that had been uncovered through a chance encounter. It was a reminder that the wild could be both beautiful and treacherous, a place where the unexpected could lurk in the shadows. As I reflected on that fateful night, I couldn't help but be grateful for the twists of fate that had brought me to that campsite, and for the opportunity to make a difference in a young girl's life. It was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there could be moments of hope and heroism, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity.
Until next time, take care.